That should be fun.
Also, you just
fart sound.
Yeah,
What was that?
And you just said Christ, and you were about to say risen, but you stopped at Rizz, and now I'm thinking about Jesus Rizz.
How much Rizz did Jesus have?
Jesus is a W Rizz.
Well, based on the number of followers he had, I'd say it's pretty high.
That's great. Can we have just that
Jesus Rizz.
first 15 seconds? That's all we need to put on Instagram.
Rizz.
All right.
What's Jesus
Lock it
Rizz?
in.
What is Jesus' Rizz?
That's not even what we're talking
I
about today.
Rizz Jesus every day. Do you guys not?
No, I do. I just don't tell people about it.
Tell the world into a microphone.
Are you saying you don't Rizz Jesus, Sam? Do you not love him?
I do love him, but I don't want to say the sentence, I Rizz Jesus.
Well, you just said it, so.
Does Jesus Rizz us?
Yep. Well, he does me. I don't know.
3, 2, 1. Hey, Crossway Youth. Welcome back to the Crossway Youth podcast. This is Sam here, joining you for another episode. I'm here with... Who am I here with? Over to my right.
Matilda.
I feel like that wasn't that hard.
There's
to
no one on
work
your
out
left.
which
There's
way
no
to
one
go.
on your
why
left,
I
so
straight
it's
up
fine.
went like, turn to be, like, my right is that way. Oh, great. Okay.
And then to her right.
No, it's me. It's Lachie again. Your boy.
Is this my debut?
Your man?
Technically.
Yes.
This is your debut,
Great.
technically.
This is my debut to the pod.
How
Oh,
do you feel?
welcome.
I feel very excited. I feel like, can I tell them that I was on a sneaky, I was on all our pilot episodes that we haven't ended up releasing. They might end up getting released one day, but they were fun.
Blooper reel, deleted scenes.
Well,
type
you know
thing.
how TV shows, usually the pilot is pretty, I don't know, is it consensus to say pilots are not very good for TV
Well,
shows? Even good TV shows,
Isn't
right?
the point that pilots supposed to be one of the best, because the whole point of a pilot episode is that's what they pitch to the producers and stuff, or the team that releases it, and if it's good enough, then it gets released. That's what a
Yes.
pilot episode is.
Yeah. But if you think about any TV show ever, how often do you recommend a TV show to someone without saying, just stick it out for the first 2 episodes or something?
Just, all the time.
Yeah.
I've never gone the pilot is amazing.
That's
when
true.
recommending a show
Yeah.
to someone.
That's
Maybe
true.
it says more about me, the fact that I was the first 2 episodes.
What's the first show that jumps to mind when you're just don't care about the first season, it gets good after that? Stick it out.
The Office.
Yeah.
Oh, great one.
The American one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone watched the British one?
No,
Yes.
I haven't.
How
Sam's
dare
face is
you?
Sam's accent.
I'm in the
disgusted.
same
Yes.
room as you.
I
How
have.
dare you?
Yeah, I feel offended on behalf of the Queen.
The
R.I.P.
king.
R.I.P.
I was like, the king.
The Queen.
Speaking of TV shows,
Yeah, speaking of TV shows, what were you going to say?
that's our first point.
Yeah, what is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you...
What?
What was the last thing that you binged? And I clarify binge as I couldn't stop watching.
Yeah.
It took over my life a little bit.
Well, let me tell you.
Was
Okay,
it The
good.
Office American version?
I, in the past 36 hours, watched the entire...
There's a good start.
I started on Sunday afternoon and I finished it last night. The Summer I Turned Pretty. I just watched all 2 seasons. There's a lot of hype around that and I resisted after season 1, but then season 2 just came out and it's all my social media feed has been.
What's it called? The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, which I got a free trial just to watch it.
Wow.
Yeah. So
All of my streaming platforms have narrowed since they stopped doing the password sharing thing.
Yeah, I just got kicked out of my family's Netflix. Last
The
week,
worst.
so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a sad day when
Horrible.
that happened to me. The Summer I Turned Pretty would recommend then, obviously, if you watched it in 36 hours. Or it wasn't a good
yeah,
watch.
it might be a bit teeny bopper girly for you too. I did enjoy it.
Good.
Very much. It's based on a book series, I think. I'm contemplating maybe reading it.
Are we thinking so my wife has watched Never Have I Ever. Is that is it similar to that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yes, I love Never Have I Ever. Good vibes.
I watched an episode of it. Have you seen that, Lachlan?
No,
Okay.
never.
All right. Well, what was
Have
the
I
last
ever
thing?
watched that TV show?
15 Love.
Yeah.
What was the last thing that you binged or couldn't take your eyes away from?
Probably, I think it was recommended by you,
Oh,
maybe.
wow.
Citadel,
Yeah.
on Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's only 6 episodes to be fair, so quite a short one, but it was a 2 days and that was done. Otherwise, just in general, yeah, mostly watching a lot of the secret agent type TV shows
It's
on
hard
Netflix
to go wrong,
and,
yeah.
and things like Bodyguard and
Great.
all those ones where it's you're like, whoa, is he going to win? And he always does. But then he looks like he
Spoilers.
loses and then he actually wins because it's secret agent stuff. So there's always triple agents.
Secret agent, yeah. Double agents is old school.
Yeah,
it's like double cross agents. Like you thought I worked for both of them. Well, actually, I work for none of them.
You guys are saying words that I do not understand right now.
Watch some spy shows.
Okay.
The last thing that I binged was it was one day, and it's 6 hours worth of TV in one day. It's on. I think it's on Binge, which is a HBO thing, like in the States. The Chernobyl series. I don't know if either of you guys have seen this. It's like very highly rated. Like each episode is like 90+% on IMDb.
Wow. Who's in it?
Like not name actors. Wow. But it's basically about Chernobyl. Weird thing to binge, like nuclear devastation. But I just watched 6 hours of it in a row, and it's quite good TV. It's not like you don't leave it just being like, like I'm stoked about the world, but like
how long
it's
are the
hard
episodes?
to stop watching, like an hour.
Nice.
6 episodes, 1 hour each.
That.
I was pretty sick the day that I did that.
Not radiation poisoning.
You don't need an excuse to watch 6 hours.
I feel like I need to give myself an excuse to watch 6 hours worth of like nuclear terrifyingness.
16 hours in the past.
Oh, wow. At least yours was 36 hours though. Guys, today the title of the episode, What Goes In Must Come Out. And we are not talking about bowel movements. We are talking about...
Tinned corn.
I said we're not talking about it.
If you know, you know. We're talking about, I guess, kind of TV shows and what we watch and what we consume and how what we watch, what goes in, inevitably is the thing that must come out. So in our words and our actions and all that sort of stuff. And we hope that today is going to be helpful for you thinking about that and considering what that means for you. Like we hear people talk about, I don't know if you've guys heard people talk about like, oh, I can watch whatever I want, like it doesn't affect me, or I can listen to whatever song I want, or however many explicit lyrics are in it, it doesn't affect me, it's not going to change the way that I act or speak and all that sort of stuff, it won't affect my behavior or my thoughts. Initial thoughts on that line of thinking, that I can watch whatever I want. As a follower of Jesus, we're followers of Jesus here at Crossway Youth, and so we want to act in a way that is in line with the way that Jesus taught us to and is loving to those around us. What are our initial thoughts around like, I can watch what I want, or I can read what I want, or view what I want? It's not going to change the way I act.
I mean, I feel like it's false.
Hot take.
Yeah, hot take maybe. But it's like, so you can think that and you can pretend it, but at the end of the day, like I don't think it's how you're going to like actually be, even subconsciously. Even just like binging these secret agent TV shows, it's weird how many times it's come up in the last week of like, in a life or death situation, do you reckon you could lift up a car? And maybe
whole,
before,
like pregnant lady.
well, yeah, but maybe before watching all these shows, I'd be like, oh, nah, probably not. And now I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. Like seeing all these things, like, oh, you know, maybe you shift the view of yourself. Even like I'm thinking like kids and like superhero movies, right? Every kid thinks they can be a superhero after watching a superhero movie. So I think whether we think it or not, I think there's an effect.
Yeah, Tilds?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even just recently I was watching a show that was made in like the mid-2000s. And it's not like completely like, oh, that woman's so ugly. But it just like often makes a lot of comments about women's bodies, but like everyone's bodies and like looks and that sort of thing. And I'm like, man, this is very mid-2000s. And I was sort of watching it and I was just constantly being like, oh, yuck. And I was like, okay, I just don't need to watch the show anymore. I don't know if I've ever noticed myself acting differently because of a show. I'm definitely very sensitive to like, have you guys seen Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
I think it's the one that has not Miss Marvel. What's the red lady?
Black Widow. Oh no, not
Scarlet
Black Widow,
Witch.
Scarlet Witch, yeah. Yeah,
is that it?
The one with the red out of her hands and the magic.
Yeah, and then he gets like the eye on his head.
Yeah.
I'm super sensitive to like I don't even know what the word for that is, but just like other like spirituality,
like supernatural type things.
Spiritual warfare type stuff, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm super like I almost walked out of I'm like, that's so dramatic to walk out of a cinema. Like, but and not because I necessarily care that other people are watching that, but I'm just like, this has such a deeper meaning than just like a Ouija board being on the screen. And I'm like, I don't know. So that stuff like really gets to me and will leave me feeling quite anxious for like the next couple of days. Even like this board game that like my friends love to play, which is like all that kind of weird stuff. Not weird.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, weird.
No, it's totally okay to say that, I think. And I think it gets into the whole idea of like active formation of you and your thoughts and your behaviors, but then also like passive as well. Like sometimes you're just like soaking in stuff. Like it's the whole notion of like you put a goldfish in a pot of water, right? And it's like normal temperature. But then or a frog, I think it is. And then you slowly turn the temperature of the water up piece by piece. The frog doesn't notice that you're turning the water temperature up. Yeah. And you can get so hot that you kill the frog and boil the frog.
And it doesn't notice.
And it doesn't notice that the water's changing because it's just changing a tiny bit each time, which like, ew, frogs and boiled frogs. But also like for us to think about as a metaphor, like if you're slowly in an environment that's getting tiny bit more, like 1 degree more spiritually charged or 1 degree more explicit over time, you don't notice it as much as you're like, oh, if you just walk into like into a different place of worship where it's like active worship of another god or something. Like you're not going to notice it as straight up as you would in another setting.
Yeah.
I also think that like, so we are 3 like Christian household people, right?
Yep.
Parenting has a huge piece to play in this, right? Like the way that you're parented, like if you're in a Christian household, shout out to you in a Christian household. You probably watched VeggieTales when you were younger and probably were told not to watch The Simpsons or Harry Potter. Same for you guys?
Yeah, there was a scene in the Saddle Club movie, which it was like a key part.
Yeah.
No, keep listening. This is sort of what I was saying about Doctor Strange. It's a key part in the movie. And I used to be so annoyed. It was like these kids would go upstairs and sit in like the hay bale storage and read like tarot cards, and then they'd leave like their lamp on and it would set all the hay on fire and the barn would burn down, which is like key turning point
Huge
in the movie.
Story plot, yeah.
But my dad would never let us watch it because of the tarot cards. So I'd be like,
what
Dad,
happened?
like this is essential that I watch this scene, and he wouldn't let us when we were kids. And now I'm like, oh, I kind of get it because it makes me feel weird now. So
yeah, did you guys, Lachie, did you have any like structure around like what you like? You may remember like, oh, I definitely wasn't allowed to watch this, or I wasn't allowed to do this when you were younger.
The Simpsons was a big one.
Yeah.
Yep, wasn't allowed. I remember there was I don't know if I've told this story on an episode before, if it was like the deleted one, where at school when I was younger, I don't know whether I admitted this or the teacher knew, they were showing an episode of The Simpsons in class. This is like primary school, for the sake of some lesson thing, right? There's always a reason, I guess. But for whatever reason, it was made aware to my teacher, whether through me or through some other means, that I wasn't allowed to watch Simpsons at home. So I had to go sit at the other end of the classroom and do something else while they were watching The Simpsons.
Weirdo.
So it was that one. Harry Potter, we're Harry Potter fans in the house.
Same.
When the 7th book came out, we had a day where me, my mum and my dad all took turns reading the book. So it was my mum first. She read it in a few hours. And then it was me. So then I read it in a few hours. And then it was Dad.
The whole thing.
Isn't that like an 800-page book?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We were excited.
Is that not hyperbole? Like actually you read
seriously,
it in
like,
a few hours?
Yeah, a few hours. It was like you sat down.
I love that. Were you like bringing each other snacks while you're like laying there on the couch?
No, it was like exclusively take the book away from everyone else, shut yourself in your room, finish it, and then come back out.
And then you had to do no spoilers.
Yeah, correct. Until everyone had read it.
And then you could all have a family meeting
and then
to talk about it.
And then we all discussed it over dinner. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh my gosh.
I like that.
I remember really clearly when I was like growing up as a teenager, when my friends would start to get into like any worship that just wasn't worship music. So like I remember distinctly Hilltop Hoods, for anyone who remembers them or listens to them, when I was like 12 or 13. Did you guys ever listen to them? They're like Australian rappers.
I know the name, but
they're from South Australia, I believe.
Yeah, they became like proper cool in my circles, and all their albums were explicit. And I was so mad because Mum and Dad would see the E next to the thing on the iTunes store and wouldn't let me spend $1.19 on the song. But then they released like the clean versions, and they would start to release clean versions, and it was like the best day of my life. And I would listen to these songs, and over all the swear word bits, it would just be like it would just be a gap. It would just be blank noise in the song. So it would just like say the rap, say the line, and then yeah, it would literally be like that.
Whoa.
That's my like stark memory of like I wasn't allowed to do this. Is just like trawling the App Store and the iTunes Store to try to find like clean versions of all these songs that I wanted to listen to. Yeah.
Do you want to know a fun fact about rap music?
I'd love to.
You know Will Smith?
I know him. Yep.
He, in all of his songs, he never uses any expletives because when he was a kid, I think about 14, he got into writing music and wrote a bunch of rap songs that, were pretty crude.
Naughty.
And his mum said something along, I forget the exact quote, but it's something along the lines of like, only a bad songwriter needs to resort to using swear words to make their songs good. So he was like, all right then, I won't use any and I'll make my songs good without using them. So now he doesn't use swears in his songs.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, get like the occasional times that I would say like stupid or like something not nice, and my mum used to get so mad.
Damn. Oh.
Yeah. I think one time I said crap and mum was not happy with that.
Are we going to need to bleep these?
Yeah, I don't know.
Back when shut up was the SH word.
You say it. And
everyone's parents have different tolerances, but I remember I said it at home and mum was not happy, and the way that she disciplined me was we had like a big Oxford English dictionary in the house, like a really thick one, and she grabbed the book and then she opened it up and then like rifled through all the pages and things like that in front of my face, and she was like, there are thousands of other words in the English language, Samuel. You could choose any other word to say instead of that.
I've heard someone actually say that they had to do a mouth rinse with soap.
Yeah, I had friends get that done to them. Wow. I can like taste it now.
I know.
Yeah, I know. This is
never actually had it done to me. I can just like kind of taste it.
I mean, it's all the best intentions that your parents have as well. Is they understand that what goes in must come out, and when you're a young person, you maybe don't understand that or don't want to understand that as much as you do. And you even said it before, you reflect now as an adult, you're like more aware of like, oh, there's undertones in this movie or in this show or in this song, and I don't really want to let myself stew in that. We're going to come back shortly to continue talking about what goes in must come out. We are back. Guys, just kind of getting to understand a bit more of like why this is an important topic of conversation, because the world that this is going to make us sound old, but the world that we live in is so against us and that sort of stuff. And we are younger people. So
I thought you were going to say we are young girls. And I was going to be like,
young girls?
Yeah, we can be.
Slay queen.
Yeah, slay.
But in their book, Dave Kinnaman and Mark Matlock write his book, Faith for Exiles, they call us, so like Gen Z and Gen Y, digital natives is the term they use to refer to us, which basically is like, we never remember a time, we remember a time without technology, but even like the generation below us, so Gen Z, guys in high school now and even young adult life, don't remember a time without a smartphone. Like the smartphone is kind of where they've grown up, and it's kind of, I guess, where we've grown up as well, mostly through our adolescence. They suggest, and they found that people between the ages of 15 to 23, these guys, this was in 2019, so this is pre-COVID, being on our phones and computers for 3 years, basically. The average digital native consumes 2,767 hours of screen media a year, which is the equivalent to 115 days non-stop screen time.
That's
every year.
A third of a year.
Non-stop, 24 hours a day.
And sometimes that's more than one screen at once too. Which like
I'm multi-screening all the time, guys. I don't know about you. I'm watching a show and scrolling on social media.
Yeah, I'm trying to break that habit because I really don't.
Single screening. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's hard. It's like my brain doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like I'm like trying now to find. This is going to sound so bad. Like you try and find shows that you're not going to be bored by, because I feel like so often we put shows on that are just like, you know how people used to just listen to like
podcasts,
like jazz on their record player when they were cooking and cleaning and that sort of stuff. Now people just put Friends on in the background.
That's true.
Or The Office on. Something that can just go on for like, I don't know. Do you guys do that? Like you find yourself doing that?
And I'm trying to break it. I'm like, I need to just be okay with like silence. Like being bored or understimulated is such a good thing, and I never let it happen.
I'm not quite there yet.
You're good at being like,
I'll do
like
music.
Silence?
I'll do music, but not.
Oh, like
video.
Even music is like, you know, rather than just having something that I need to like be looking at.
Yeah.
Even an audiobook I feel like would be better, because that's pretty much what I'm doing with like.
But even just like as a social experiment, I feel like we should all commit to, and feel free to join in if you're listening or watching as well. Just like try. I don't know if an evening is too much of an ask for just like no
tech,
like just
no
don't
screens.
turn on the TV or videos.
Like even like whilst you're cooking, after dinner, before you
single.
I'm
no
literally feeling
multitasking.
anxious now thinking about that. Just the idea of that.
Yeah,
Didn't you
I'm
do
trying
no
to think of
screens
excuses.
like a little bit ago?
I did. It was really hard. Yeah. I did it with one of the other staff members at Crossway, Sarah Gunn. And it was no social media and no entertainment really. So I was on screens for work, but it was like just like passively watch YouTube whilst you're on the toilet or something.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just
instead?
toilet related things. I was
Thanks for clarifying.
I don't know. Like I feel like I think I read a book and a half in a week or something,
That's
which is
awesome.
very fast for me. It's not like reading Harry Potter in 3 hours, but it was a challenging thing to do. But it drew more attention to me to the whole like 115 hours a year typeness to me and to my.
I heard you saying
life.
that you just went through your camera roll on your phone.
Oh my gosh,
as like entertainment.
Yeah, I literally scrolled all the way back and I was like, oh, memories, that was fun. And then Sarah and I, we just sent photos to each other of like, remember when this happened and remember when this happened? And yeah, it was fun. That was how I entertained myself, was looking at like 12-year-old photos of me.
Well,
from like a biblical standpoint, because this is not just a scientific exercise of like we are on the screens a lot and we are formed by that and our bodies and minds change because of it. Luke 12:34 says, "This is Jesus, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." And he said this again in Matthew chapter 7 verse 16 to 20. He says, "You can identify them, people, by their fruit, that is, by the way they act. Can you pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? A good tree produces good fruit and a bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree can't produce bad fruit and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire." Yikes. Yes, just as you identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions. It's pretty blunt, like the question that we asked at the start about like, do you think it's true? Do you think you can watch whatever you want and it's not going to have an effect on you? If Jesus was here and there was a fourth mic, he would be like, no. Like if you read those verses and you're like actually like believe what they're saying, Jesus would be like, no, you will have rotten apples on the edge of your tree if you watch whatever you want and listen to whatever you want to listen to.
Was that yikes actually in the Bible translation?
It wasn't. No, it was not. I just said it because I don't want to be chopped down and thrown into the fire. Dave Kinnaman and Mark Matlock also, and like Mark Sayers as well, who's another thinker in this sort of zone, have coined the phrase screens disciple as well, to go back to like the whole, we spend a lot of time on our screens. And it's not just like we spend a lot of time on our screens and we're addicted to them, but like they're actually like discipling us. Like discipleship isn't just like a Christian thing. It's actually just like as people, we're all discipled by something, whether we love Jesus or whether not we don't. What do you guys think about the idea of screens disciple? Like, have you seen that play out in your life or even your friends' lives, both in like a, we love Jesus and we're being discipled towards him, but also we're being discipled away from Jesus because of our screens. Have you guys seen that play out?
Yeah, a little bit. I'd say, I mean, a few things. Like one of them is like how much I guess it's kind of the same thing, but how much we depend on the screens to just function and like how much it's part of your routine. Like one side of this is more of an amusing one, which is like, if I want to check the time, sometimes I'll forget that I'm wearing a watch, and I'm actually not wearing it today because I forgot to put on because I was in a rush this morning. But often it's like I want to check the time. I'll pull out my phone to check the time because I won't look at my watch, which is bad because why do I have a watch then? But I try and look at my watch, but often I'll catch myself like, oh, that's the time, and then it'll be me looking at my phone and oh, look, I've got some notifications, that kind of thing. So there's that side of it, but also like how much do we depend on it for routine? If you want to get somewhere at a time, you could theoretically think about it or work it out or something, but instead you go, okay, cool, I'll look it up on my phone. Or if you want to set an alarm, we don't have alarm clocks anymore because we just put them on our phone. If we want to contact someone, and like there's actually less phone calling nowadays, I feel, and a lot of it's messaging, and once you message someone, oh, I've got to send this person a message too, I've got to send this person a message too, and a lot of it is your entire life and routine revolves around what you can do on a device and not how you like, and that becomes the way that you interact with people rather than actually interacting with them. So there's a level of like, we're trained to do everything through our phones or through our devices rather than having them as like useful tools that we can use on the side. This is our only method or sole method of doing something.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about lately, what would my friendships look like if I didn't have a phone? Because I've been thinking about like, you know, I'll send Instagram reels to my friends or someone will text me to like, hang out or like do something in a couple weeks time, and if I don't reply within 24 hours, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a terrible person. And this is like not like the perfect solution to that, but I've just been like telling myself like in like the 1800s or whatever, they would write letters to each other and it would take like a week one way, a week back, and they were still friends and it was still fine, and they had like in some ways probably better, more genuine connections than we have now, because it's almost like, because we are in contact with everyone so much, it's like we almost just give everyone like a little bit, like a little 2%. Like, oh, here's a reel, here's like a meme that I, you know, whatever. Or like, hey, are we still good for Saturday? And I'm like, without technology, my friendships in some ways almost look better, because it's just so much more intentional. And yeah, it's like when you don't see someone in a long time and then you catch up with them and you just have like a really good conversation, like catching up, which like obviously not all friends are like that. There are some friends that you do see every week, and so the conversations aren't necessarily always like a big catch up. But I'm like, it's just so much more real than like, sure, I talk to my best friend every day, but it might just be like 3 little messages back and forth. It's not like anything with depth. So I've just been thinking about that and trying to feel less bad when I don't when I like miss a notification and then go into my phone and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't reply to that message. Like, I hope they're fine, or I hope they still come to that event and I still see them or whatever. And I'm like, well, if it was the 1800s, they'd just have to cross their fingers and hope for the best and still rock up and hope that I would be there. So
yeah.
Is Tills alive? Is she not? I hope so.
I hope so, yeah.
I feel like it's interesting.
Maybe she got smallpox. Who knows?
What you said about like the giving 2% to everyone, and even to what we were talking about before, like having to watch a TV show while cooking, while also being on your phone. It's like one thing that we've been discipled into doing by like our screens and stuff is putting, I guess to some extent, an equal significance on everything, but in a negative way, in that we are splitting ourselves up too much and not kind of going, okay, I need to cook myself dinner, so I'm going to cook a really good dinner for myself because that's good, and not I'm also going to watch this TV show on the side and then make my dinner slightly worse because I'm constantly like looking away.
and also I'm not going to understand the plot point of the TV show I'm watching because I'm chopping capsicum at the same time.
So we're being taught to like split our attention in like too much, I think. And I feel like, you know, if we want to go back biblical, right? Like Jesus isn't giving everyone in the world the exact same amount of attention, right? He's going, I'm going to really, and like 12, so maybe it's not as good as the point we're saying you got to focus on 3 different things while cooking dinner, but like he's investing really intentionally and focusing on a smaller number of things, because that's going to have a better impact than if he just went out and said, hey, what's up? Be like me to 8 billion people.
And we're coming back to like a really interesting, like, I guess, pastoral challenge and interesting takeaway for us, I think, towards the end of the episode is like, we are taught to have such high capacity and to be able to keep so many balls in the air and juggle so many things that like our attention is so spread, and the idea of being really present in a specific individual place or with a specific like it's like if you're having coffee with someone, you're automatically thinking about the thing that you have to get to next, or the call that you're waiting for or something, or it's the challenge of we find it so hard to be present with just one specific thing. Like if you're going to watch a TV show, watch a TV show. Like it's okay to watch a TV show. Give yourself time to. Just do that though.
Yeah.
If you're going to cook, just cook. Like, don't feel like you need to do something else whilst you're cooking as well.
Put on a jazz record.
Put on a jazz record on your
Crossway
vinyl.
podcast.
But it's, I don't know, that's an interesting thing that I've been reflecting on, and on the topic of like screens disciple as well. Like, just the ability to be patient and present with one specific thing, whether it's the person that you're with or the thing that you're watching. You're allowed to watch things. We're not telling you to not watch things. It's a learned skill and something that is kind of, you have to fight against the way that our culture is to be able to do that well a little bit. Guys, if you had to give one, encouragement, piece of advice, recommendation, suggestion to any young person or young adult listening, what would you say would be one of the best things that we could do to allow good, on the topic of what goes in must come out, like to allow good and beautiful things to come out of us, for us to be that tree that's producing good fruit rather than to be a tree that's producing bad fruit? Like, what have you guys found helpful on this? Maybe it's an idea of like kind of how we use screens. Maybe that's been something that we've been talking about. What have you guys found helpful in managing that? What's like a suggestion or an encouragement that you give to people watching or listening?
I think for me, one of the things, this is like in particular with consuming like media or like content like shows and music and stuff, is one of the things that I've heard that I've kind of taken on a little bit, or I kind of think about every time I'm consuming media, is like would you feel comfortable recommending this to a family member? Would you feel comfortable going up to your mum and saying, you should watch this because I think it's good? Or going up to your grandma or your brother or whatever and recommending it? Because if that's something like that makes you feel uncomfortable, not in a way that it's like recommending my mum an action movie when she doesn't like action movies, she likes rom-coms or whatever, because that's like, I don't know, it's weird, but it's not like, I don't be like, ugh. It's if you would imagine yourself recommending it to them and you immediately go, oh, that's not going to go well, or like that feels weird to do, then it's maybe not a piece of media that you should be consuming. Or like you go sit back and go, okay, wait, hang on, why am I feeling like this? Is it because mum doesn't like action movies, or is it because there's stuff in there that isn't going to be good for me?
Yeah, it's a good grid.
Similar vein, but maybe a bit different. I would be picky about what you consume from the people you follow on Instagram. I often do culls of who I follow. I know sometimes it's so easy for it to get up in the thousands and you're like, oh, it's too much effort. But like scroll through, or like if you're watching Instagram stories and then you see something and it's like someone that annoys you or makes you irritated, like just unfollow that person, because like if you're going on your phone for like your relaxing time, that's fine, but don't then have heaps of content on there that makes you feel super annoyed. Or if there's a TV show that you're watching, or if you're just feeling anxious all the time, like maybe you take a think about what TV shows you're watching and what's in them, or what movies you went and saw. Or I think also recommend when you get recommendations from people, like the person that recommended it to you, do you like the way they live and their character and that sort of thing? Be picky.
That's good.
My advice.
My piece of advice is, it's actually not really around like I think we spent a fair bit of time on like how what we goes in is what comes out and all that sort of stuff. It just drills back to like the amount of time that we spend on things as well. Because for me, my experience is my anxiety just shoots through the roof at the same rate that my screen time is going up. And when my screen time is good, my anxiety's in a much better space than it normally is. So that would be my encouragement to you, is like, it's fine to watch a TV show. Just like, be specific about the amount of time that you're doing that. Or it's okay. Like social media in itself is not a sinful thing, but be specific about the time that you spend on it as well. If we believe that screens disciple, the way that Jesus discipled was just spend lots of time with people, right? That's how he discipled. And if we are spending lots of time with our screens, or 115 days every year nonstop, as this book suggested, I don't know, just be mindful about it. Because that's been helpful for me to just kind of get the grid around that, is to be mindful of it. And when we are mindful of it, both the amount of time that we spend and also what we're consuming as well, we believe the Bible's true, that it says that you can identify a tree by its fruit, and we'll all be producing good fruit. We are going to come back again shortly to wrap ourselves up for the day. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're still listening,
congratulations.
Congratulations, well done. This is a Crossway Youth Podcast favorite. We're going to do a draft. We love drafts.
We do.
Like a fantasy draft?
Yeah.
Spelled
like
DRAFT, not DRAUGHT.
We don't like that kind of drafts.
Carlton draft.
I was
thinking, what's the game?
I was thinking the checkers game.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm a follower of Jesus. Did you know that? I don't know. We, on the subject of what goes in must come out, guys, we're not going to be super vulgar, but we're just going to be a slight bit vulgar. We're going to talk about and draft first our top 3 things to eat, what goes in. So that's important. Yummy yum.
Yeah.
And then we're going to draft our top 3 toilet-related things.
What comes out?
Yes, what comes out. So anything to do with toilets. The first pick of the food, what goes in round, I'm going to nominate to Lachie.
All right.
You can go first. Draft your favorite food And again, the premise of drafts, for those of you who haven't been part of a draft before, is once someone has picked something, you cannot then pick that same thing. It's off the board.
This is really hard because what's your favorite food is the most impossible question.
Yes.
Have you guys ever been asked what's your favorite song? And then you go...
You forget every song you've ever listened to?
I forget what's music.
Yep.
No song exists. Yeah, so that's kind of me with food right now. Although I did have something pop into my mind. It's definitely not my favorite, but I'll make it my top 3. Mango.
Mango is good. Are we going to do 1-1-1? Or
so, Tilde, you go first. Snake draft.
We'll snake it.
Tilde, you go second.
Okay,
so you now
draft.
can't pick mango.
Yes. My favorite cuisine is Mexican, and I would say probably one of my favorite foods is like burrito bowls. Are very delicious.
So has she taken like everything that goes in a burrito bowl?
No, I think
Can
you're
I
allowed,
now not pick that?
I think you're allowed another rice
So
dish.
if I only wanted to pick Mexican red beans, is that off? Do you have red beans in your burrito bowl? No, okay. What about
probably
avocado?
Have black beans. I would have avocado.
So I think you're allowed, like you could say like another rice dish, but you couldn't do like a burrito because that's too similar.
Yeah.
This is very subjective already. My pick, I go back to backs because I'm at the top
You
here.
do.
I'm going to pick fried chicken. Just incredibly versatile. Korean fried chicken, Australian Korean fried chicken. KFC fried chicken.
Kentucky
I don't think it's
fried
Australian.
chicken.
I think it's Kentucky American. I'm going to pick fried chicken, and then my next pick is, I guess it's not really eating, but it goes in your mouth, a strawberry Big M.
Oh, I really wasn't sure where you were going there. I was like...
That's why I was giving
I thought
you
you were going to say like chewing gum.
A cigar.
I was like, that'd be weird.
That's why I said the answer as quick as I could after I said this first.
It's not really for people to begin.
So I am having fried chicken with the strawberry Big M. Tilde, you're up.
Delicious. Coffee, flat white.
Oh.
And then the game
coffee.
should be like, would this be an if you had to have all of this at the same time for a meal, would this be
Would
an
the out be
meal?
enjoyable?
We can go with the in be enjoyable and then with the out as well.
No,
the out as well.
I'm definitely not picking curry then.
All right, Lachie, go.
Okay. Mine. It's interesting because can I say chalky milk, or is that too close to a strawberry Big M?
I don't know. Tildes, you're the tiebreaker.
I reckon it passes.
Okay, all right.
I'll go chalky milk.
And this is your last pick.
And then for my last pick, what did I have recently that I enjoyed? Oh, I'll just take a steak. Just a good...
So everyone do their picks, and then we have to say our meals.
I had a steak the other week at a pub somewhere, I don't know. And it came with chips and gravy, and I don't know if I've ever eaten chips and gravy before, which is so random because it's such a standard food, but it was so delicious.
That sounds
so my
just
next one is
very
chips and
English.
gravy.
Chips and gravy. Yeah.
Did you ever have the loaded gravy fries from Macca's?
No,
They
that
used to-
sounds like it would be icky.
They did it where they did the Macca's fries and then gravy on top.
I imagine the gravy was like gross,
full
though.
ick. If you want gravy, you get thick chips, don't get fries. That's my
true.
thick
my last pick is potato gems. So
I should have said hash browns.
we have to say these meals. Like imagine you're sitting down to this meal.
Okay.
So I'm going to go first. Fried chicken. I'm thinking Korean fried chicken, not KFC fried chicken.
What
I'm
flavor are you
cultural man. Probably just like
Soy garlic.
Soy garlic probably. Just potato gems straight out of the air fryer, and then in a glass. I think if you drink flavored milk in a glass,
In a
it
wine
automatically not a wine glass. No, just like a big tall.
Yeah, the tall ones.
Just a tall glass full to the top with sugary pink milk.
I love the color palette of your meal. Just like yellow and pink.
It's this is the.
I would
if you were
argue
7 years old,
rainbow.
if you were 7 years old and mum and dad were away, what would you make yourself for dinner?
so
I would argue it's brown, and pink,
Yeah, brown and pink.
not yellow.
Mine is the Home Alone, like when Kevin McAllister. You remember the scene at the first one where he makes the ice cream? There's like 4 punnets of ice cream in the thing.
Punnet of
when
ice
mum and dad
cream.
are away. Okay, Tildes, your meal.
Mine would be a coffee, a burrito bowl, and chips and gravy. So I'm
Just all of them.
I am stuffed after this meal. Like a burrito bowl, chips and gravy, and coffee is a very filling combination.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a mini burrito bowl from Guzman though, not a large one.
Yeah, I'd probably get a mini. If
Yeah.
I knew the chips and gravy were coming, I'd get a mini.
Yep.
But also, like, I'm not an everyday coffee drinker. I'm like a social coffee drinker, if you will.
drinker.
A cultural. I do it for the culture.
Yeah.
But
That's
also, like,
coffee.
Isn't that why everyone
love the
drinks coffee
culture.
in
No,
Melbourne?
I don't like. I think just because I don't have a coffee machine, like I love like barista made coffee, but I'm like, there isn't another form of coffee that I love enough to make me want to make it at home for myself.
Yeah.
And I think because I'm not like addicted to it. So coffee like really...
Like it's a treat?
Kind of,
Yeah.
but digestively, it really affects me, I think, because not in a bad way. It just, makes things happen.
Well, hopefully you draft some good toilet-related things for the toilet draft.
Well, that's what I was
then.
leading into. I was like, my toilet wrecks. Great.
Lachie, your meal?
So I've realized that my meal's kind of like, imagine you're a uni student living by yourself in an apartment and you're going, I'm going to treat myself for dinner tonight.
Wait, I can't remember what you picked now.
So you get yourself just a small steak.
Oh.
You have a 2-liter carton of oak chalky milk. and a mango because they were in season and on sale.
No.
And your meal is just a steak.
When you go to your friend who lives in a share house, you're like, you got any food? They're like, yeah, I got food.
Yeah, man, we just shopped. Look at the fridge.
And then dessert is just you scooping a mango out with a spoon.
That's real, like, payday is 2 days away, meal.
Yeah.
Well, but you're still treating yourself because it's a steak.
It's a little mini, but one of those, like very thin, $7 steaks or something.
Oh, bless.
All right, we're going to go to the second half of the draft, which is the what comes out part of the draft. So the first pick is me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So my first pick in toilet-related things is I'm going to draft poo drops. Do you know what poo drops are?
Are they the things you put in your toilet?
Like
they are
it's
like after you do a number
lotion.
2
Or something?
Yes. Oh no, it's not called that. It's can't remember the brand name.
I'm sure there's a few.
Let me know in the comments if you know
what your
the
favorite
brand
poo
name.
drops are.
Yeah, there's like Aesop. You know,
Aesop is not the student one.
No, it's the bougie one. But they call it poo drops, and it's basically like I think it's a pipette is the word of the name of the thing, but it's like scented. You know how you just have like air freshener spray after you do number 2s? This is like a drop that you drop onto the toilet after you flushed it, and it like covers the scent somehow, and then you can just smell that.
I always thought you put it in first and then pooped and it like sealed it in.
Negative.
Like a vacuum seal.
Absolutely.
Like an astronaut seal.
I've never used them. So
okay.
Do you have them at your house?
I do.
I'll
they
come.
Do come over and no one will know if you did a 1 or a 2. So that's my first pick is poo drops.
Good.
They're actually called poo drops as well. That's their actual name.
Nice.
Hilda, you're up.
Mine isn't actually something I own, but it's something I've always wanted. I've always really wanted a squatty potty so bad. Because apparently, like, physiologically, it's really good because, like, humans are physiologically designed to poop squatting down. And so when you sit in, like, a 90-degree angle, it's, like, not as...
Do you want a hack? Get 2 rolls of toilet paper next time you're doing a number 2. Put them under your heels whilst you're still sitting on the toilet.
Can I give a better hack and just get a stool?
You can do whatever you want.
But that's what the squatty potty is, but it's like, shaped to fit around the toilet.
Sorry, I don't know why you're using your toilet rolls for that, though.
My sisters and I...
because I don't have a squatty potty. That's why, and I want to... it's an awkward thing to talk about.
Let's get each other squatty potties. When's your birthday?
I hate the
name.
I hate the names of both things you guys have said so far.
Poo drops and squatty potties.
My birthday's on Monday, if anyone wants to get me a squatty potty. So...
Try it next time. Put toilet rolls under your heels and like rest them up there whilst you're also sitting there. It'll just...
Yeah, no, like I've done the
You'll need plenty of poo drops afterwards.
I've done the feet elevation thing and I'm just saying it's so great. Like I want the real thing, you know.
Is that the brand name?
I'm committed to the course.
Is Squatty Potty the brand name? Okay. All right. Well, Lachie composing himself. Have you composed yourself for back-to-back toilet picks?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
These 2 picks are actually from... I stayed in this Airbnb. I went on holiday one time. I stayed in this Airbnb, and both of these picks were present.
Love that these have a story
in this Airbnb, and one of them is going to sound a bit weird, but so of yours. So
this whole draft is weird. Go on.
So one of them is LED lights under the toilet seat, under the toilet seat. So if it's night and you go to the toilet, you don't have to turn the light on and blind yourself. You know when you do that, you go and you're like that kind of thing because it's too bright and you can't see anything. This one, it's just lit up around the rim of the toilet so that you don't...
On the inside of the bowl?
No. On the outside of the seat. So then you don't need to turn on the light to the bathroom because it illuminates it just enough for you to use it in the middle of the night without having to turn the lights on. So under toilet seat lights. And the other one...
Like a runway almost.
Yep.
For aiming.
Anybody?
The other one...
No, can't relate.
I'm not going to even respond. The other one is actually a heated toilet seat. And it sounds...
See, that feels icky, like someone's been sitting on there for like 2 hours before you.
But it's not the same, like it's warm because someone's been sitting there. It's like the same way that like a heater is like nice to touch because it's warm. Or like if you have like the seats in a car that heat up, it's like that where it's actually warm. So also if it's a cold day, if it's winter, and it's something, yes, you can turn on and off, right? I assume. But it's the winter. Have you ever sat down on the toilet seat in winter and gone, oh, that is chilly?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my psycho take? I kind of like a cold toilet seat.
All right. Sam is banned.
Kind of wakes you up.
And I also, do you know how sometimes when your bed is cold and you get into your bed and you're like, it's nice that it's cold?
Yes.
Have you ever used an electric blanket before?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I hate it.
Yeah, me too. So that logic, but toilet seats.
Nah, but it's actually good. So anyways, carry on.
I'm not sold, but if you ever get one, I'll use your toilet. Is this my second one?
Second.
Oh, okay. I know what mine was. The Kleenex brand sell extra long toilet rolls, which I very much like. So it just means you need to change the toilet roll less often because it's twice as long.
Wholesome compared to
So
everything
they're quite
else.
thick, but my mum always bought bougie toilet paper growing up. I don't know why, but that was like something she was happy to spend money on. So the Kleenex like extra long toilet rolls.
I am also going to draft a toilet roll, but it is not.
Were you going to say?
It is not length related toilet paper. It is thickness related toilet paper. Is that permissible or not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Permissible.
I heard this talked about on a different podcast. 4-ply toilet paper.
Whoa.
Which is basically like wiping your bottom with a towel. It's like it's so thick. It doesn't change the amount that and we haven't talked about toilet roll habits yet in this conversation, but my toilet roll habits are just like an animal. Like I don't fold. Like I pull it off all the way.
An animal, like you don't
so you
use
wipe
any?
your butt on the floor.
I do not do that. So I'm choosing really thick toilet paper so I don't have to use as much. And then my last pick, because I have back-to-backs, is I don't know if you guys ever remember when you would go to like an arcade place and you'd have like 600 tokens or 20 tokens or whatever to go at the end. And one of the prizes you could get, and I would always enjoy getting when I was younger, was you could get a toilet that had slime in the toilet bowl. And you could pull the slime out, and then you would press the slime in the toilet, and if you pressed it in the right space, because of like the friction, it would make a fart noise. So you could like press the slime in the little mini toilet, and it would make a fart.
Related.
So that's my draft, is that endless hours of entertainment poking the slime in the toilet and then having it go.
And you would do that while sitting on the real toilet?
Oh, imagine. No, I didn't. Imagine if I did. That'd be a great idea.
No, thanks.
Do that when you're on like
what a life hack.
a school camp or something and people are sharing a room with you. They'd be like, oh, what is Sam doing in there?
Sam.
No, now everyone just plays music when they're on the toilet, so no one knows if they're doing one or two. That's the end of my draft. Tilde, you go.
What is my final draft pick?
Can we not present these ones at the end?
I'd like that very much.
What do you mean present?
You know how we did our presentation of our full meal?
Mate, it'd be a full setup.
No, Tilde wants to present it.
If we're doing a presentation, then I'm going to say like a scented candle. Because then I've got my squatty potty, my extra long roll, and I'm set. What else do I like in a bathroom? I think having a pair of slippers.
Toilet slippies.
Well, I've only recently become like a house shoes person.
Yeah.
Because I've always been like a barefoot person. I hate wearing socks, but I stole a pair of slippers from a hotel. I think I rocked up here the other week.
You did wear them one time,
yeah. And they're great and they're so comfy, and it's a game changer when I get up early in the morning. Instead of like stepping on cold tiles, I've got my warm little slippers on.
Nice. No, you were slippers.
Yeah.
That's not it is a toilet.
Can you press the button?
Which one?
My one.
Hang on.
It didn't work.
Wait.
You didn't tell me you did that.
Okay, yours.
My final pick is, and it's funny because I'm glad that you didn't take it, is actually like a scented candle or like reed diffuser.
Lovely. It is very nice when you go to someone's house for dinner or something, you use their bathroom and they've set up a candle.
I think actually a reed diffuser is what I would pick because then you don't have to worry about flame.
Yeah.
But some sort of constant air scent that isn't Glen 20.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, there you have it. There's another draft. Let us know what your top toilet picks would be, I guess, or your top food picks.
Please.
Have you guys, one last thing, have you guys seen that girl on Instagram who's going around Melbourne pooping in all different places
trying
and like
all the
rating
toilets?
them?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's good. Like trying public places.
I have not seen that. I would be interested in seeing that.
I'll show you later.
You can check us out on Instagram at the CY Pod or on YouTube, the Crossway Youth Podcast. We will see you next time for another episode. Thanks, guys.
See you then.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
See you later.